set to go?
You are.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to your regular town council meeting of Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020. If you'd all rise and join me in a pledge to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Reed, if you'd call the roll.
I'm here.
Here. Here.
Here?
Here. Council, at this point, I'd like to, or I would entertain a motion to add to the agenda item number 7188, discussion with action, to convey foreclosed property identified as 27 Hemlock Street, parcel 00403-00013, to owners of record Matthew and Amy Chamberlain, for a total amount of $1,338.60 in outstanding taxes and accumulated interest due on the effective date of conveyance, including fiscal year 2020 taxes, plus any legal costs incurred by the town of Old Orchard.
So move.
Motion has been made and seconded, and council, this, I apologize, had this added after agenda item 7187. With the council's approval, I'd like to put that in front of agenda item 7187, as that is an executive session. And I think we're good. We can move to acknowledgements. We're saddened at the passing of Arlene Dolgan. Arlene was a marvelous supporter of the Community Animal Watch. She and Fred, as members of this community, provided love and support to all causes. I personally was lucky enough to work with Fred and her on multiple occasions with several things in town, and certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to Fred and her entire family. Council, are there any other acknowledgements this evening? Seeing none. To Good and Welfare. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak under Good and Welfare this evening? Seeing none. To the acceptance of minutes. The acceptance of town council minutes of February 18th, 2020.
So move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll carry 5-0. And to a public hearing, business license and approval. Joseph Han, 210-2-53-1, 16 Smithville Road, Unit 1, 1-year condo rental. We'll open that public hearing at 6:34. Are there members of the public wishing to speak under this public hearing? Members of council?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any further discussion? None. We'll carry 5-0. We'll close that public hearing at 6:34. To a public hearing, amusement permits and approval.
We're all set.
And just for the public, we wish to correct information relative to this public hearing. Amusement permits and approval. There will also be a change to the following public hearing for public hearing liquor license and approval. In both cases, it is written as Cameron Langlois doing business as it is written as Robert Langlois, Langlois West Grand Incorporated. We need to switch that in both cases to Cameron Langlois instead of Robert Langlois. So the public hearing for amusement permits and approval, Cameron Langlois, Langlois West Grand Incorporated, doing business as Big Bites Big Shots Incorporated, 307-3-1, 8 West Grand Avenue, music and dancing from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. outside and inside. It's a new license. We'll open the public hearing at 6:36. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak under this public hearing?
Just a correction, that should be listed as just Big Bites, Big Shots, Inc. Langlois West Grand, Inc. is the landlord.
Yes, I believe
Yeah, that's how it's listed in,
the update this
in the update, it's listed that way.
That's how it's listed?
correct.
Okay.
Okay, I do apologize. Thank you for pointing that out for me. This is for the public and for the council. The actual public hearing amusement permit would be for Big Bites, Big Shots Incorporated, 307-3-1, 8 West Grand Avenue, music and dancing from 7 PM to 1 AM, inside and outside. It's a new license. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak under that?
Assuming that's accepted, we just wanted to thank all you guys for expediting this for our family.
Thank you very
Larry,
much.
Louise, thank you very much. Chief Lamontagne, Deputy Chief Rob. Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Any comments from the council?
So moved. Second.
To the chair, just for 1 AM, have we been at 12:30 AM? What was, for a while there, we were stopping music at 12:30 at night. We changed our policy on that, or?
I'm pretty sure when it was Bernie's, under the previous ownership, that it was not 1 AM. And I don't honestly know if there's other establishments that go to 1 AM.
I, for some reason, I'm thinking 12:30,
Chief
but
Kelly.
maybe Dana can help me.
I think it was changed to 12:30 on a consent agreement. It was part of that
Right.
hearing that we had regarding their license. And that was one of the restrictions the board recommended the council approve for that.
For
particular
Bernie's now?
business.
That was from, yeah, that was from
Bernie's?
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm breaking away from that a little bit, and just town-wide.
Well, there's no reason to restrict, this is a new business.
I understand that, but have we been curfewing 12:30, I guess is what I'm saying. For some reason, I'm thinking that.
At Bernie's, we
We-
did, yeah.
No, but there's
at
other
o- at
places, Chief.
At other businesses.
There's other places, Chief, where we allow people to go to 1 AM. It's the question, is whether we do allow 1
Well, we
AM.
were
Yes,
finding 1
yes, we do.
AM.
That's, state law allows that.
And we do as well, as other businesses that go to 1 AM. We've cut them back when we've had problems.
Okay, I guess. All right, thank you.
Through the chair to the applicant, is there any objection to us stopping the live entertainment at 12:30? Be consistent with that area, as opposed to 1 o'clock?
Listen, I don't have any experience in the bar business. This is not what I do for a living. But in terms of competition downtown, if the other bars are allowed to stay open till 1 AM for entertainment, we would ask permission for the same.
Through the chair, I believe, Sean, this was where Bernie's used to be, correct? So that's when it was at 12:30, but nothing else in the area is at 12:30.
I believe there's several large establishments with outdoor entertainment that's midnight or 12:30 at least. They're not 1
I
o'clock.
don't know of any. Do you know which ones they are?
I'm thinking the Brunswick.
I'm thinking the Brunswick,
Because
Pirates
of-
Patio,
because
there are others that, in the past, I think we've tried to curb back from one. One is late.
One is closing time,
One's
essentially.
closing time, but it gets late for the general public is what it is, okay? Now, I know the Brunswick has a curfew of 12:30. So that's why I asked if we were breaking away from that, because we were trying to curb back, I think, to 12:30, which isn't asking a whole lot, really. You know, you
Last summer-
stop breaking down at 12:30 anyway, so, go ahead.
If I may, through the chair, last summer, most of the places, with the exception of Weekend at Bernie's, had last call at 12:45, played 1 or 2 last songs, and then started moving everybody out at 5
Yeah.
minutes or 10 minutes of 1. Is what typically, at least in my first summer here, that's what we experienced on the entertainment inspections. Unless it was a slow night, most kept going right to the end, especially on their bigger nights in the summer where it's a short season of 8 weeks. So, but that's what we experienced last summer, Council.
Okay, thank you. I'm all set, Joe, so.
Okay. So the motion was made and accepted for approval as written, 7 PM to 1 AM. Ms. Reed, if you'd call the vote.
Council Fall,
Yes.
Council Kelly,
Yeah. Yes.
Council Singer,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Neill,
Yes.
and Chair Jordan.
Yes, we'll carry 5-0. And we'll close that public hearing at 6:41.
May I just comment?
Absolutely.
My understanding is that facility has been run as a nightclub from 7 PM till I thought 1 AM. But going forward, with your permission, that we expect to open as a bar restaurant at 11 AM for lunch, dinner, and then sort of convert it to a nightclub at, let's say, 7, 8, 9 PM, and run till 1 AM with your permission.
Absolutely, and I think, just to give you a little background, so there's a little clarity of what just happened.
Yep, sure.
There have been incidents in the past where there have been problems.
Yep.
And because of those problems, restrictions were put on to end it earlier. But as of now, the council unanimously just approved till 1 AM.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah, thank you.
And so I would assume, as long as there's no problems.
So we are a landlord as well, so you can imagine I share your sentiments there. I was not privy to these until November, but I understand from reading the dockets that there was some significant issues.
Correct.
We expect to run this differently, professionally, and expect to be an asset for the downtown area.
It's great to hear. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
Okay, and we will move to a public hearing for liquor license and approval. This is a new license as well. It will be Big Bites, Big Shots Incorporated, 307-3-1, 8 West Grand Avenue, MSV in a Class A lounge. We'll open the public hearing at 6:42. Are there any comments from the public under this public hearing? Comments from council?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll carry 5-0. We'll close that public hearing at 6:43. And to the town manager's report.
Thank you, Chair Thornton. Good evening. Wastewater Superintendent Chris White and myself met with DEP officials this past week in Portland to provide them with a progress update on the planning and preparation work that's being done in advance of presenting a major upgrade bond to the public at our for our wastewater facility. So the response we got from DEP was positive. They were pleased with how we were proceeding on this work. We have hired Woodard & Kern Engineering to perform a review of the previous recommendations that were done by Wright Pierce, and they're in the process of doing that. They should be completing that and presenting information to council in April or early May, some of the recommendations that they will be bringing forward. They are also drafting a fiscal sustainability plan that we receive grant money from the DEP for, and that should be completed by June with the intent of bringing forward a project to voters at the November election. So we'll continue to work with DEP at their request to keep them informed of how we're proceeding on this. I met with the owner of the property at 15 Ocean Park Road. This is the parcel that there's a proposal to put a filling station, convenience store, as well as some associated storage units just beyond the Smith Wheel Road inbound. I told the owner that it's likely that this process will be lengthy since it involves traffic impact analysis by both the town and MDOT. The initial information concerning traffic impacts that we received from traffic engineers suggests that the proposed project is one that does not result in significant additional vehicle traffic on the road, because it's not so much as a destination business as it is a business that people are already driving by and pull in and utilize, except for the storage piece, which is a smaller component. But by contrast, if there was a residential project that was being put forward in this location, almost all of the traffic, the new traffic would be generated, the traffic generated by that would be new vehicular traffic, adding numbers to the road, and in particular be a problem at peak morning and evening commuter times. So I'm not sure what the timing is for this going forward to the planning board yet, but I do know that there's study work that has to be done this summer in terms of traffic impacts. So it's not something that would move forward to final approval until after that work is completed. There's a 34-lot subdivision being proposed at the Blueberry Pines location on Ross Road. It's now going to the planning board for initial review. It's called Sumter Landing. And in order for this to move forward, the developer would need to obtain from the town council an easement over town property that would serve as a second entrance to the subdivision. And in consideration for the easement, the developer is proposing to gift to the town of Old Orchard Beach 28 acres that would be connected to the existing town open space. Again, I don't have a time frame for coming to council, but I would think that it would be relatively soon since they're starting their planning board process. Budget preparation is going forward in earnest. I'll be at the next council meeting, March 17th, presenting the FY21 budget to you. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I'm going to one more time talk about the property homestead exemption, since the deadline for putting in an application for that, if you don't already have a homestead exemption, is April 1st. This is the program there whereby all year-round residents who own their own home have the value of their property, the assessed value of their property, reduced by $25,000. It's a state program. And given the current property tax rate of $15.42, that's a $385 reduction in taxes, which can be significant for those who are in properties, for example, valued at $200,000. That's a 12.5% savings. And if you live in a mobile home, it could be a savings of as much as 50% of your tax bill. So it's a significant amount of money for a lot of people. If you're a year-round resident and you're not sure whether you already have a homestead exemption, just give us a call at Town Hall, call the assessing office, or call my office or the finance office, and we'll look it up and tell you whether or not you are part of that program. The town's going to be holding a second job fair tomorrow, Wednesday, from 3 to 7, right here in the council chambers. This is looking for folks who are interested in working for the town, both for our full-time work, but primarily for our part-time seasonal positions with police, lifeguards, public works, recreation in the ballpark, and wastewater. There's immediate interviews that are available for people who come tomorrow, and we invite people to come to learn about our job openings and come ready for an interview. And then finally, the last thing is I'm working with the Department of Transportation on developing a scope of work for a feasibility study of the intersection improvements, potential intersection improvements at Halfway, the intersection of Saco, Temple, and Old Orchard Ave. This would include a study of a roundabout in the location, and we would share equally with MDOT, the town would, the cost of this study. I expect I'll be bringing this proposed initiative to your attention either the next meeting or the first meeting in April. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To new business, council, agenda item 7181, discussion with action to approve the estimate not to exceed $18,000 from Poirier Guidelines for striping all town roadways, including parking stalls, stop bars, etc., from account number 20151-50506, roadway maintenance, non-capital, with a balance of $18,083.28.
So move.
Second.
Just, Mr. Town Manager, that's just for clarity, do we know when this work will be done, just for knowledge?
Yeah, the intent is that it gets done, as much as gets done before Memorial Day as possible, and then the rest of it gets done before mid-June, third weekend in June.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any further discussion, council? Seeing none, we'll carry 5-0. To agenda item 7182, discussion with action. Approval of the Old Orchard Beach Patrolmen's Association, Maine Association of Police Union Contract, effective July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2022. And I believe the town manager has an overview for us.
Yeah, thank you. Just to hit some of the significant changes that are being brought forward by this contract extension or renewal. First and foremost, the wage adjustment is 8% over the 3 years, 3% year one and year two, and 2% year three. The total cost to the town for this, including overtime, FICA, and retirement, is approximately $46,000 in year one, $48,000 in year two, and $33,000 in year three. I think that those are not aggressive wage increases given what's going on in other departments around southern Maine, and we're trying to stay competitive and not lose ground in a really tight job market for police officers. Another significant change for this is we're introducing a retirement health savings plan that would be established for each employee. This is a program that is going to benefit both the employees and the town. For the employees, obviously, it will give them a source of funds that they can access when they do retire, when they get to that point, that can be sheltered in terms of tax consequences until that point, and will provide funds for health expenses. How it's structured is that the town will give a one-time contribution of $350 to each union member. That's a total of $6,300 for a one-time investment. And in return, the total amount of sick leave that can be cashed out upon separation is reduced by 25%, which is an average of $3,600 less per individual in today's wage rate. So that's a direct savings to the town of what is already an existing future liability. Secondly, those employees with over 720 hours of sick leave are currently accrued, and there's 6 or 7 of those. We'll have 75% of those hours converted to cash for their retirement health savings account, and the remaining 25% of those hours go away. This is a one-time expense to the town of $35,000. However, the town actually will save money going forward, both because the payout of sick leave currently is a lower hourly pay rate than would take place when any of those employees retired in future years. So, and again, it's a payout of an existing financial obligation that's reducing our liability going forward. Another piece of the Retirement Health Savings Program is that employees who have over 200 hours of accrued vacation leave will have up to 50 hours of that leave, assuming that they have 250 or more, they get 50 hours of that leave converted on an annual basis to cash that would be put in the Retirement Health Savings Plan. Again, this reduces future cost to the town of payment because it's done at the existing pay rate rather than a future pay rate. And then finally, the other significant change that I would talk about is that the agreement allows the town to hire experienced police officers in at no more than the 10-year step. So it would assist us in recruiting people who already have a blue pin and have some experience in coming to work for us. So overall, I think it's a fair settlement of this contract. And I think that I'm excited about the Retirement Health Savings Program in terms of getting at our desire for all of our employees of kind of reducing those long-term accruals. And I'm glad to answer any questions that you might have about it.
Any comments or questions?
The chair motion to approve.
Second.
No further discussion, we'll carry 5-0. To agenda item 7183, discussion with action to accept the bid from Westport Motorsports in the amount of $6,798 for the purchase for the fire department lifeguards of a 2020 Polaris from account number 52002-50918, fire department ATV capital expense, with a balance of $7,900.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Is the old one junked, or what happened with the old one? Not that it matters, but,
We'll probably transition this one out with the fire department has, as John, and we'll keep this one, which gets much less use, typically just in the voltage one.
thank you.
With no further discussion, we'll carry 5-0. To item 7184, discussion with action to approve the special event permit application from Nathaniel Burberry to hold his wedding on the beach at the end of Temple Avenue on Monday, May 25th, 2020, set up at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., wedding from 3 p.m., and cleanup by 5 p.m. Insurance listing the town of Old Orchard Beach is additionally insured, to be provided to the town clerk's office at least 2 weeks prior to the event.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll carry 5-0. Congratulations, Nathaniel. To agenda item 7185, discussion with action to approve order 2020-1A entitled Order to Authorize the Appropriation of up to $1 million in local funds and the appropriation of $1 million in federal community development block grant funds to be used for infrastructure improvements on Fern Avenue, West Old Orchard Avenue, and Washington Avenue, including sewer, stormwater, sidewalks, curbing, and road improvements. And I'll put it back over to the town manager. I know you have some additional for this.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, the estimated cost for the infrastructure improvements that were planned to go forward on Fern Ave, West Old Orchard, and Washington Ave, a portion of Washington Ave, has increased substantially based on recent pricing this past fall from other public infrastructure projects in the area. We had intended to go out to bid actually this past week for this project, but after looking at those updated cost estimates, it just wasn't going to be feasible to pull this off with the funds we had. The most recent cost estimate for the project was in the $2 million range. It was actually $2.2 million for everything. And that's 30 to 40% higher than the original estimate. And those are big increases, but there was an article actually this Sunday in the Sunday Telegram about this very issue particularly for public infrastructure projects, and that 30 to 40% is what people have been experiencing, in some cases worse. So what that means is, in addition to the $1 million of federal CDBG funds that the town was awarded and was going to use for this project, that we would, in order to complete the project as designed, we would need to expend local funds in the $1 million range. Currently, the town charter requires voter approval for appropriations in excess of $500,000. So for this reason, if you were to support continuing to move forward on this project, it would have to be put in front of the voters, potentially at the June 9th election. So currently, there's $500,000 in CIP funding that previously was approved by you for this project. It leaves us $500,000 short for additional local funds. And my recommendation is to council that if you were to put this to the voters and they gave approval on June 9th, that the council should use $500,000 of unassigned fund balance to cover the project cost above the $500,000 that you've already approved. I think you'll probably recall from this year's audit report that you got in December that the town added $1.3 million to fund balance in this past fiscal year. So we have a very healthy fund balance, even healthier than it was the prior year. And this type of infrastructure project is sort of a quintessential appropriate use of fund balance, a one-time cost for a specific project. So if you were to approve and voters were to support this expenditure, then we'd expect the project to go out to bid in late summer this year, with construction beginning in the latter part of 2020. If we have another winter like we had this year, the work could continue a lot through the winter of 2021 and be completed in 2021. I meant the winter of 2020, 2021. So, and I think This time frame for bidding, where we would go out in August, would actually lead to better prices than we would get now, because it gives contractors more options to complete the work over a longer period, and it gives them something to program in for the winter months, which often is something they're looking for. So for this evening, you would not be specifying the accounts that the funds would come from. That's something you would do at whatever time a contract for construction work is being awarded. I've already given you some ideas about where those funds would come from. So tonight, what you would be considering are two separate orders. The first order would authorize the appropriation of $1 million in local funds and $1 million in federal CDBG funds for these improvements. And the second order would be to submit the question to voters at the June 9th election. So the $1 million local funds, bringing the total to 2, is still a little under the 2.2 million that's estimated. So if a project comes in a little higher, we would trim it back. This doesn't include, by the way, the funds that the Water District will be appropriating for their share of the project. They're going to be doing that separately. So that's my overview, and I'm glad to answer any questions that I can.
Any comments or questions from the council?
Chair,
Sir?
you intend on having any other bond questions in the ballot in November, or?
November, yes. November is the intent would be to bring forward the upgrade at the wastewater plant. This bond question would be, it's not a bond question, but this question for expenditures would be in the June ballot.
Be better off bonding it.
It's, no, not this amount of money.
Can't we bond an appropriation with a state like that, or is it just better off to bond it?
I don't believe so. I really don't. I think this is a good use of fund balance, especially with
I
the,
don't disagree with that.
with the
but I'm
bond
just-
coming up in November.
I'm just looking at how we move money, that's all.
Yeah, it could be done.
Give us more time to pay for it if it was bonded.
It would, but we're also going to be, you're going to be looking to bond a significant amount of money in November.
Well, whether it's significantly more or not, it's, at the end of the day, it's the same amount of money.
If you take it out of the fund
It's that
balance, you're not
bond,
paying interest on it. That's all.
Less the
It's
interest.
$1 million here and it's a bond, so at the end of the day, it's the same money. I mean,
We're saving on interest in this particular, and it's a manageable amount of money. It's not 20 million, it's $1 million. We've already appropriated $500,000 for it, and we could get the other $500,000 out of fund balance.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Sir?
Have we already been approved for the 1 million federal grant?
Yes,
That's a done deal.
yes, it is, and that way I spoke with them. If we need an extension of time from what they originally said, we would have, they're fine with giving us that.
One of the reasons why I say that, I'd hate to see this fail, because it was up against a large bond.
Well, that's why it wouldn't fail, because we'd be doing it this June, when there's nothing else on there, and it's $500,000.
But it has to go to vote.
In June. We're gonna vote on it in June, if you approve
Okay.
the order tonight.
I misunderstood that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any further comments or questions? Just for clarity, Ms. Reed, if you could call the vote, just.
Counselor Crowe.
Yes?
Counselor Singleton.
Yes.
Counselor Kelly.
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Neill.
Yes.
And Chair Horton.
Yes,
Through the chair?
sir.
And related to this, one thing I think the council should consider doing for November is changing the charter language to increase the amount of money that requires a vote by the voters. Currently, it's $500,000. $500,000 doesn't go anywhere anymore with infrastructure projects. It just doesn't. And so I think it needs to be increased because it really slows things down. And I don't think that the amount of money of $500,000, it's not relative to what people were thinking about when that was put in place. The types of projects that those days required $500,000 that were much bigger than what they are now. So whether it's $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever it might be, I think it needs to go up. And I think voters would understand that and go along with that.
Very good. Thank you.
Joe, can I ask another question?
Yeah, sure.
Since this is being done in June now, is there a percentage of voters that have to vote on this?
No,
Tied by any chance that way?
nope, it's not.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Okay, to agenda item 7186, discussion with action. Order 2020-1B, entitled, Order to Submit Order 2020-1A to the voters and to call a public hearing on Tuesday, May 5th, 2020. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, can somebody tell me what that
Yes,
is?
I was just gonna say, for clarity, please.
What this motion is, the motion that's made is putting this on the ballot for June.
Correct.
And then there would be a public hearing the next council meeting after that.
Or 7185,
I'm sorry?
for the one prior to.
Right, so, yes, so the agenda item 7185 was to approve the order 2020-1A.
It says it on.
So now this agenda item is putting that motion that we just voted yes for to the voters
Okay,
in June.
thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, carry 5-0. And again, with the council's permission, I'd like to address agenda item 7188 prior to agenda item 7187. 7187 is an executive session. No objection. Agenda item 7188, a discussion with action to convey for closed property identified as 27 Hemlock Street, parcel number 00403-00013, to owners of record Matthew and Amy Chamberlain for a total amount of $1,338.60 in outstanding taxes and accumulated interest due on the effective date of conveyance, including fiscal year 2020 taxes plus any legal costs incurred by the town of Orchard Beach.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, thank you.
Hello.
I'm Victor Chow. I'm from Westbrook. I'm Amy Chamberlain's real estate broker.
Sure.
Just a point of clarification. Ms. Chamberlain divorced Mr. Chamberlain in 2016, and we have a court order deeding the property to Ms. Chamberlain. So if we could give it back to Ms. Chamberlain, that would be great.
Mr. Manager, is that an issue for us, or?
I think in this case, we are conveying it to the owners of record as of the time that we had the liens that were put on here.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but there should be a new deed that was registered in just my name. He did a quick claim deed,
Mhm.
and I actually took that over to the courthouse, and it was registered, and I received a copy of it, but for some reason, it's not showing up. So if that's something I need to bring to you, I can.
So I think, I'm sure that that's what took place, but I would suggest that the council pass this order conditional to the provision of that deed identifying Ms. Chamberlain as the sole owner.
Good, very good. And for that,
So I
we
think you have a closing that you're trying to deal with, right?
Yeah, we do. We're trying to get the closing.
Yeah,
Things need to
right.
be taken care of, so I
Right.
can close on that property, and there is a buyer who is looking to build.
Yep. Sure.
Okay. So we would need to remove the second. Who made the second?
I did, so I rescind the second.
We need to remove the motion.
Moved.
And so at this point, I would entertain a new motion to convey for closed property identified as 27 Hemlock Street, parcel number 00403-00013, to owner of record, Amy Chamberlain?
Yes, Amy E.
For-
Chamberlain, if you want to get it exact.
Okay,
Just
for,
because there's many of us in surrounding town.
okay, for a total amount of $1,338.60 in outstanding taxes and accumulated interest due on the effective date of conveyance, including fiscal year 2020 taxes, plus any legal costs incurred by the town of Old Orchard Beach. And this is contingent on,
So I would say conditional to the provision of, of a deed
okay,
conveying the property to Amy Chamberlain.
conditional, so this would be conditional to a provision of a deed proving sole ownership by Amy Chamberlain. Is that correct, Mr. Manager?
That will work. Conveying,
So I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, carry 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for your help. Appreciate it.
Motion to adjourn.
We still have an
We're
agenda
gonna go
item
into
to
executive
address.
session.
What do you have?
If you'd remove your motion, I'll
I
read
will.
the last agenda item. Okay, thank you. Agenda item 7187, executive session, discusses a labor